get that over to you. For those who don't know me, I'm Eddie Donley, fairly new to this market center, been in real estate for quite a while, was a loan originator back in the early 2000s. Now doing real estate since about 2015 on the sales side. I was down in North Carolina. Now I am up here and started a team, the Threshold Group, and we're getting going. So I'm also in training to be a bold coach. So that's next audition is July. So thank you. So who knows why we're here? Right. So today it is a party. Today we're talking about the 6 personal perspectives. So this is the question that started it. What is it that differentiates those who achieve at the highest level from those who don't seem to accomplish much? Who can tell me what those differences are? Who can think of some things that high achievers do that others don't? This is going to be real interactive, so it's going to be real awkward if no one talks. Consistency. I have bad writing, especially when it moves. Who else? Habits. Written goals. What else?
Mindset.
Planning. Anything else?
Learning based.
Learning based. All right. So Gary Keller, when he asked that question, he interviewed top achievers all over the country in a lot of different fields. And what he found was there's 3 common things that people have. It's their mindset, their attitude, and their approach to life. Now, when you put those 3 things together, you create the Venn diagram of success. And that's the high achievement right there in the middle. So today we're going to talk about what the 6 personal perspectives are. And you'll find those in your handout. I'll let whoever's writing these down, I'll give you a moment to write them down. If you can't read anything because of my writing, just pop your hand up and I'll tell you what it says. So 6 personal perspectives. Step 1, committing to self-mastery. Step 2, the 80-20 principle. Step 3, moving from E to P. Now we're going to go through all these, so I'm just going to run through these quickly so we can get on to the rest of it. Step 4, making being learning-based the foundation of your action plan. Step 5, removing your limiting beliefs. And step 6, being accountable. So step 1, committing to self-mastery. So Gary Keller said, we overestimate what we can do in 1 year and underestimate what we can do in 5. So who here has set 1-year goals that, you set it and you seem like, I can do this and just didn't hit them. So, and when you think back 5 years ago, who in this room 5 years ago would believe they were where they are now? That have done some things that they didn't think was possible. I know Portia and I just talked about that the other day. Setting goals 3 years ago that now she's hitting regularly and thought it was impossible 3 years ago. So we underestimate what we can do in 5, and we overestimate what we can do in 1. So the first step is committing to self-mastery. So this quote is from Rick Elias. He was on the Miracle of the Hudson. Do you guys remember that? You see the movie Sully, where they landed the plane on the Hudson River? Now, if you were in a plane that was crashing, what do you think your odds of living are?
Zero.
All right. So he said after he got off the plane, I was given a gift. And then how would you change? So for the rest of this hour, I want you to imagine that you have that same gift, that you have that gift of seeing into the future and then changing what you need to do to accomplish what you want. Because I'll tell you what, that's a person that doesn't take life for granted. That's a person that makes sure that they pursue their passions. They make sure they live in the moment because they know that it's not promised. The future is not promised. So, given that opportunity to change and make positive advancements, I lost my, yeah, I just see the screen. I got no clicker. Right. Well, that's good because I can just go this. So in your workbooks, you've got a reality check. So when you go somewhere, when you set a plan to go somewhere or set a path, and you're using your GPS, what do you need first? Actually, before you know where you're going, you need to know where you are. Because how do you get to somewhere if you don't know where the starting point is?
It says you are here.
Yeah, right. It says you were here, but you need that first. You need the starting point. So this is your starting point. So what I want you to do is think about a goal that you have for this year, for 5 years from now. Think about something that you've really wanted and just haven't done it yet. And I want you to write that goal, whether it's work, life, family, spiritually, whatever it is, write down a goal. I'm going to give you a minute to think about it and write something down. I want everyone writing. So first step, what is your goal? Everybody have a goal? We're writing down what our goal is. It can be anything, business, life, personal, just something that you wanted that you have not accomplished yet. Step 2, this is where we find out where we are. How are you doing with your goal? If it's a goal you've had, how are you doing with it? How do you feel about it? Where are you in relation to that goal? And it could be a number system, 1 to 10, however you feel about it. And actually, I'm sorry, that should be in your next bubble. For those who are writing in their first bubble, that should be in your next bubble, how you're doing towards that goal. Now we're going to the third bubble. And that's how do you feel about that? So you're in a position where you've written down where you are in relation to that goal. How does that make you feel? You know, if you're getting close to it, shouldn't it make you feel good? And if you're far away from it, doesn't that give you the opportunity to really go after it? And these are questions you got to ask yourself when you're talking about your goals, is be realistic. Because if you tell yourself lies and, say, yeah, I go to the gym enough, or I do enough lead gen, but you're really not, who are you fooling? Right? You're just fooling yourself. You're not helping yourself towards your goal. You're not doing anything for yourself or anyone else. So the last bubble, what will your future look like if you do not achieve that goal that you put down? And I want you to really think about that. What does it look like? You know, if it's a lead generation goal, if you don't close enough deals, do you get to go on that vacation? You know, do you have enough to pay for your house? It's a shifting market. What happens if, you know, your deals dry up or things fall apart? Really go down that road. What does it look like if you don't get your goal? Nothing changes until you do. So that's why we're here. Self-mastery versus mastery. So who knows what self-mastery is? Who's got an idea? Kind of says it in the words. Self and mastery. Okay. And what does that mean when you master yourself? Mm-hmm. So I always likened it to if you capture the fort, you control the surrounding area. And right now the fort is our minds. If you learn how to control your mindset, then you can control everything else that your mind controls. So self-mastery, when you decide that you're going to take on mastering yourself, when you accept this challenge, you can effectively lead yourself and direct your success. So what does that mean? You get to choose. You choose what it is you go after. You choose what it is that you do with your life. And mastery. Mastery is actually mastering something. So whether it's mastering the violin, soccer, you know, lead generation, whatever it is, it starts with the decision to, I keep sensitive. It starts with the decision to excel at something, a decision to put the time and effort into achieving excellence and to reject mediocrity. Now, I know I've fallen into that trap. You know, I go through the motions and accept mediocrity. I accept just going through and doing things day to day. Who here has fallen in that same trap? Right? You go through and you do it, and you're not looking to achieve at a high level. And we actually talked about that. That, you know, you just get stuck in this rut. Mastery is practicing and going after it so that you're not stuck in that rut, so that you can achieve at a high level. So I want you guys are kind of in groups of 3s and 2s. So I want you all to partner up at your table. And on your next sheet, it's a partner exercise. And it's achieving goals through self-mastery. So I want you to list, you have that goal that you wrote down on the other page. I want you to list 3 obstacles you think might hinder your success. So 3 things about that goal that are stopping you from doing it. And once you list those 3 things, I want you to talk about what those are to your partner, what those 3 obstacles are. Mike says there's nothing in my way.
Did you see that?
And it could be as simple as, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy.
Right.
I don't get enough sleep at night.
Yeah.
What's stopping you from getting that goal that you wrote down on the first page? Because I'll tell you what, if you don't have any obstacles, then why don't you have that goal? Why haven't you hit it? So everyone should have an obstacle if they have not achieved that goal. If you've achieved that goal, you shouldn't have written it. It's not a goal that you're still after.
Are you gonna finance it? Or-
Yeah.
I mean, finance.
Right. All right. I know it's a bunch of agents and we can talk forever. So right now I want to switch gears and I want you to write down what strengths on the next page. It'll say what strengths you have that will help you overcome that goal or overcome those obstacles. So list the strength that you have. You've listed the obstacles. Now I want you to list the strength. What do you have inside of you that's going to help you overcome that obstacle? Now, it could be the strength of reaching out to someone else, having the strength to go ask for help. It could be a strength of, depending on what the goal is, having some ability that will help you overcome one of those obstacles, maybe not all. But think of something that you have. Whether you're tenacious, whether you have great attitude, great mindset. What's going to get you past that goal? What do you have within you or around you? What tools are available to you? Everybody got a strength? Who here is still working on their strength? No one? All right, so the next one is your weakness. So what weakness do you have? You know, I don't know how I do it. I get up early every day. I don't like to. I just don't wake up to an alarm. I automate, no matter what time I go to bed, I get up early. So, you know, it's not necessarily a weakness, except I don't get enough sleep normally. So, you know, that's a weakness, and that by afternoon, a lot of times I'm tired. So think about things that you have that are weaknesses that are going to stop you from achieving your goal. And be real. Remember, you don't help yourself by just taking surface level things. You got to dig deep and figure out what's stopping you from hitting that goal. Because just like I said earlier, everyone in here has a goal that they haven't hit. And yes.
What would be the difference between a weakness and an obstacle in terms of weakness like?
So the obstacle is the thing presenting that stops you from hitting that goal, and a weakness can be the obstacle. So, you know, a weakness can be an obstacle, but typically I was looking for what is it that's stopping you. So yeah, weakness is an obstacle. So think about if you have an obstacle that's not a weakness, or just naming that obstacle as the weakness. So if you already have a weakness as an obstacle, just name that as your weakness. So now, the real question, I want you all to talk to each other, because we're going to get back in those same groups. And I want you to discuss, are the obstacles movable? Can you leverage them? Can you, you know, with your strength, can you find a way over them? And what is your plan to get around them? Because this is how high achievers set their goals and their path. They recognize the reality of where they are, their strengths, and they work towards their strengths, and they figure out a path around their weaknesses. So now that you have your strengths and your weaknesses down there, how do you get to your goal? This is where you plan. This is your path. So talk amongst each other, because right now we have a saying in bold, AHAs, AHA, agents helping agents. You might have the answer for someone at your table. Everyone has something that they can give and offer. So let's talk to each other. Let's help each other get past our obstacles, because the goal of today is everyone in here is going to hit their goals. High achievement. So let's go. All right.
Okay.
I see page one of yours right in their action plan. So everyone should be in their action plan. Set the path. All right, for the sake of time, we're going to keep going. Hopefully everybody has. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right. So you have a plan. Committed to self-mastery, because that is actually what self-mastery is about. Figuring out your strengths, your weaknesses, and setting paths around them, and making sure you're understanding who you are, what you are, and doing what you can with what you have. That's what self-mastery is. So now that you're committed to self-mastery, and well, actually, I'm making an assumption. Who here would love to be committed to self-mastery? All right. So for those of you who said yes, you're committed to self-mastery, you have a goal and a plan set. Now what? I'm giving you the answer. Right up on the screen. All right, so step 2. So now we move to step 2 in the 6 personal perspectives, and that's commit to the 80-20 principle. Now, I know a lot of you have taken bold and other classes. Who can tell me what the 80-20 principle is? Come on, I know there are at least 5 to 6 people in here. I know absolutely have that answer.
Ryan DeLuca looks like he knows.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
80% of your results come from 20% of your action.
Ding, 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 ding. Correct. All right, so it's known as the Pareto principle. It was Pareto, and what they found was 20, it was Italy back in the old days, and it was 20% of the people had 80% of the wealth. And you can equate that to the USA right now. I think it's actually a smaller number. 10%. So how do we look at the 80-20 principle? And what it is focus. Focus is the key to great success, more than effort, experience, or even natural ability. You should write that down. Focus is the key to great success, more than effort, experience, or even natural ability. So when we talk about focus, like you do really good at lead gen, right? Sometimes. So when you're focused on lead gen, what kind of results do you see? When you got no distractions?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible when you actually, if you were to compare going through the motions or actually, holding myself accountable for doing it. Yeah, the results are night and day. If I go in and say I'm not leaving today until I set an appointment, I'm setting an appointment rather than walking in and saying, all right, let's make these phone calls and then respond to this email and then, talk to Ryan when I see he's walked in. I don't set an appointment those days, so.
And you said something that I think is really important. When you walked in and didn't have a goal set, you didn't have your focus ahead of time. So who here goes into appointments, into their day, starting their day without actual goals, without focus on what you want to achieve that day? How many of us do that on a regular basis? You get up, you don't have a goal, so you're just winging it. So focus gets everything in line and pinpoints what you want to do, and everything falls into place because of it. So there's an exercise in your handout that goes over extreme Pareto. So I want you to take your goal that you had from earlier, and I want you to write it on the top of the page where it says goal. All right, now that you have your goal, list as many of the things that you can think of that you are doing or could be doing to make that goal a reality. Just list them, whether it's get up earlier, stay up later, put a sign on your door saying do not disturb, buying a computer, upgrading your cell phone plan, whatever it is that can help you get that goal. Ordering postcards. Come on, write as fast as you can. Just brainstorm. Think of anything you can. So this is like a to-do list. All the things that if you did those things, you're going to hit your goal. It could be, say an affirmation in the morning. Write out your goal for the day. Journal at night. All right, now we're going to take that list and we're going to create a success list, because there's a difference between to-do list and success list. Now, a to-do list, everyone's got that on their desk somewhere where they have everything they need to do. Now, what we want to focus on are the most important things. So I want you to create the success list by circling only the tasks that are going to have the most impact on your goal. Only the ones that will have the most impact. So we're looking for the 20% here. What things will be the most impactful to that goal? Just circle those. All right. Now that you have those circled, let's look at the ones that are circled. Can you identify the one thing you can do such that by doing makes everything else easier or unnecessary? So what's that one thing of the list that you circled that if you just did that and didn't focus on anything else, but just focused on that one thing, what would make everything else on your list easier or unnecessary? Everybody got their one thing? Who here still needs time? All right. So now we have our goal, we have a plan or a path to it, and we have a focused item, a one thing. So now we're going to focus with the 411. Now this is part of the 80-20. This is how you focus your time. And this is goal setting. So 411 is a weekly goal setting tool. It does the month too. I use it mainly for the week. Every week, 411, and figure out what the goals are for the week and how to accomplish them. So I think it's page 6. You're going to set weekly goals that correspond to larger monthly goals. So the way that works out is you've got a big goal. Now you got to figure out, what am I doing this week that's going to help me get to what I need to do this month? You set your monthly goals to your larger annual goals. If I hit this goal this month, I'm going to hit my yearly goal. Weekly goals are a success list, not a to-do list. So remember that list you just made. You can do this every week. Figure out what the most important thing is and create a success list and get to it. So you plan weekly goals no more than 1 week in advance to allow for changes. Life changes, life happens. You know, I never planned on living in Ohio again, and here I am.
You'd be so lucky.
You're right, I
Dreams
am
do
lucky.
come true.
Yeah, they do. So, you know, plan for changes, set realistic goals. So everyone's heard of SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based, or relevant, I think is how they put it, and time-based. So set realistic goals. Don't say, I'm gonna sell $50 billion in houses this year. You know, I hope someone does. And at the same time, if that's not realistic to where you are, then you're only setting yourself up for failure. And what that does is reinforces negativity in your mind. We want positivity. We want setting realistic annual goals. And you want to avoid revising goals. Because again, stay in reality. You know, you can't go back and change what's already happened. So we don't revise goals unless you set something new. You just change your goal in the future. You don't revise the goals you've already put down. If that goal changes or you find it's not something you want, you can adjust moving forward, but you don't adjust what you've already done. So on the next page, you have a 411. Who here has actually used one? Okay, couple few people. All right. So this is, and I think there's even a link to tell you how to get one on KW Connect.
It's on page 6.
Yeah. So you can find these online. And so this is how you write them out. You write your annual goals, your monthly goals, and then your weekly goals. So that's just an example. We won't do that right now. So how do you figure out what to do? I used to keep a chess clock next to my desk. And if I was doing the activity that I was supposed to be doing during that time, you know how a chess clock works? You hit the button and it starts the timer. As soon as you stop whatever the activity is, you hit the button and it stops the timer. So I used to actually clock how much time I was actually spending doing the thing I was supposed to be doing. And I found out I wasn't doing very much time at all. You know, in an hour, I was spending maybe 15, 20 minutes on the actual activity. The other time I was answering calls, going to my email, looking at other things, staring out the window. So, you know, that's the key to time blocking, and is to set yourself up for success. I used to give myself, if I found I was having trouble focusing, I have ADHD. So if I found I was having trouble focusing, I would give myself 5-minute intervals. I can work for 5 minutes. I can focus for 5 minutes, and then I give myself a 5-minute break or a 10-minute break. So first key to time blocking, be consistent enough to set the habit. And I don't know if you guys have this, you might want to write these down. So you want to be consistent enough to set the habit. Number 2, be thoughtful and purposeful about the items you list on your calendar. Remember, success list, not to-do list. You want to be purposeful. Because if everything's on your calendar, then and you give everything equal importance. And we want to set our priorities, we want to set our calendar based on our priorities. What's most important to you? And your goal. Number 3, always time block for the 20% that ensures your success and the success of your business. Who here has lead gen on their calendar? Oh. Who here is in real estate? So if you don't have it on your calendar, then you're not time blocking for your success, because what is the foundation of every real estate, every sales job?
Yeah. And lead gen.
So why is it not on your calendars? Yeah. And that is one of the keys to success. Doing the thing you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level you can.
I heard that.
Yeah. So I don't like lead generation either. You know, I used to trick myself. I would intermittent fast, and I would stop eating at 7 at night, and I wouldn't allow myself to eat until I set an appointment the next day. So you talk about hunger. You know, I like to eat. I don't know if anyone knows that I really like to eat. So, you know, I was not only figuratively hungry, but literally hungry for that, you know, for that appointment. And you know what? I did 15 million in volume that year when I set that goal. So by myself. So there's something to be said for always time blocking, because I had that time block in the morning, 9 to 12 every day. That's what I did. And I would actually tell my clients that same thing. When I would go to listing appointments or anywhere else, I would say, if you need me, I'm not going to answer my phone between 9 and 12. You can't get in touch with me. If you'd like to come and see what I'm doing, you're welcome to come to the office and watch me make calls, because that's what I was doing during that time. But otherwise, I'm not going to respond to you until after that. And I got a lot of business. So, and you set the expectation for your clients. You teach people how to treat you.
Right.
So you set that expectation that, and I tell them the same thing in the evening. I've got 5 kids. I'd say after 6 o'clock, don't expect to hear from me. And if you do, it's because I'm just sending something, I may not respond back. So always time block for the 20%. Most important If you erase, you must replace. I want everybody to say it. If you erase, you must replace. What does that mean? You just yelled it. What does it mean?
If something doesn't get done on your calendar, you've got to move it to another time and do it.
Correct. Because do your goals change just because you have to run to the doctor?
No.
Because your kid threw up at school, does that change your goal? So if you don't do it, then what happens? You're just pushing it off. You're not doing the job that you said you would do. Because we talk about being interested and committed. Who understands what commitment means? So if I had a 20-foot pole, let's say like a balance beam that you see on the Olympics, if I had a 20-foot beam here, and I said, I'll give anyone who walks across that beam $100. How many of you would do it? No, nobody? Nobody would just walk?
Yeah.
It's right there on the floor. All right. So say I raise it 5 feet in the air. How many of you would still do it? 5 feet in the air. Okay. Let's say I put it on top of this building, go into that building. How many people would do it for $1,000?
No.
No takers? All right. So let's say, because you were interested in doing it before. Now let's say on top of that building's on fire over there. And on top of that building is your favorite person you love the most in this whole world. Who's running across that beam to go save them? Show of hands. So you just became committed to doing it. I didn't even have to give you $1,000. You did it for free. You ran over there and ran back with someone. So that's the difference. Like, what does that mean to you when you're looking at your goals? Are you interested in your goal or are you committed to that goal? Because if you're just interested, probably not going to do it. There's going to be something that distracts you. Your ego is always going to find a distraction, something that's going to keep you from doing what you want to do. So if you erase it, you must replace it. So time blocking your 20%. You want to refer to your weekly goals on your 411. So when you make your calendar, and this is all going towards setting that plan, setting the path, and setting your goals. So when you make your calendar, refer to your weekly goals on your 411. So page 8, you've got a calendar there. You've got a time blocking sheet. That's this one. You got a time blocking sheet. Now, on that time blocking sheet, starting with the day next week, time block what a typical day would look like if you were to achieve your goals for the week. Everybody write them down. Like, what does that day look like? Remember, we want a time block for our 20%. We want to make sure that we're focusing on our priorities. So schedule according to your priority. If your priority is family, make sure you have that family time scheduled first. If your priority is religion or spirituality, make sure that's on there. Whatever your priorities are, schedule those first and then according to your priorities. So whatever those priorities are, figure those out. So what does a day next week look like? Block off your calendar, block off your schedule. And like I said, set yourself up for success. If you know, I can only really give an hour to lead generation. I just can't do it for free. It's impossible. Then give yourself an hour. Give yourself 15 minutes if that's all you have. But set time to do the most important work. You know, I went to school for art and had an art professor that told me something very profound. I'm going to relate it to being an agent. No one in your circle wants you to be a real estate agent. Your spouse wants you to be their spouse. Your children want you to be their parent. Your parents want you to be their son or daughter. No one wants you to be a real estate agent. Those are your goals. They're not anyone else's. They want you to be who you are to them. So when you did that, oh, he's gone. Can you help?
Yeah.
So when we look at those appointments we just set, because you all just set appointments for yourself. How many people in here look at that as those are movable options? You know, how many people already move those options, already have these things on their calendar and already move them? So let me ask you, if, let's say, your hero, you know, whether it's, you know, a famous writer, a politician, an athlete, a musician, say they were standing outside that hallway and they were going to be in here for the next hour, and you've already scheduled a bunch of stuff. Would you move everything on your calendar to have that hour with that person?
Yes. Yes, I would, yeah.
Right.
Too, yeah,
So you would.
I would.
Now, let me ask you,
Then I
would you do
move
the
it.
same thing for yourself?
No.
Would you make sure that you were there for yourself during that time? Why are you not the most important person in your life?
That is a good question.
So that's the thing that we have to focus on, is making sure that you schedule that time for you, because those are your goals. No one else wants you to hit those. Only you. So if you take that time away from yourself, who are you hurting?
Myself.
And not just you, who are the people around you that benefit from you hitting that goal? So it's not just you that you're hurting the people around you too. Because other people will benefit from whatever goal you set. I'm sure it'll have ripple effects. So it is your job to protect your time blocks from all those who don't know what matters most to you, and from yourself when you forget. If you want to write that down, you can. Because we forget. We get busy, deals start happening, just like that real estate roller coaster. We forget what's most important. And we don't go back to the basics of prioritizing our time to what's important to us. Mute that?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Everyone still with me? I know it gets a little, you know, talking about not hitting your goals and all that. So we're gonna move from E to P. All right, so I'm gonna pick on you again. Who knows what that means? What's the E stand for?
Entrepreneurial.
Entrepreneurial. What's the P stand for? Okay, so everyone in here has natural abilities. Someone in the room, name something you're really good at. Something you're just really good at naturally. It could be singing, it could be, I walk perfectly. You know, whatever it is you feel like you're really good at. What is it? Come on, anybody.
Talking to people.
Talking to people. Okay, so you're really good at talking to people. Now, if you were, say, going to be on the news and that was your job, or you had to interview really high profile people, do you feel like you're ready for that?
No, you got it.
Okay, so what would you need in order to go from entrepreneurial to purposeful?
Coaching, speech lessons, research on the individual.
Okay, so those are all great things, and everyone in here has natural ability. But what happens, just like when I asked, would she be able to go to that next level? She said, no, there's a ceiling, right? So everyone has a ceiling to that natural ability. I used to be a runner, and I know I don't look like it anymore. And, you know, when I ran, I was able to get to a certain level and just hit that natural ability ceiling. So coaching, practice, research, learning. So those are all things that can take a person from moving from E to P. So when we talk about going from natural ability to being purposeful, we're going to look at 5 steps to getting purposeful.
We don't have a step 3 now.
No. Step 3 is missing.
Okay.
Oh,
We'll just
interesting.
use that.
All right, so step 3 is missing. I didn't realize that. Sorry. So step 3, we're going to break through that ceiling. 5 steps to getting purposeful. So step 1 is focus. Now, yay, you already identified this. You have it. You know, 80-20, you've already gone through this. The first couple of steps, focusing on writing your goals, your 20%. Step 2, find strategic options. So this is really where you want to ask, how can this be done? And are there different or better ways to do it? So we talk about, you know, there's a saying, a smart person learns from their own mistakes. A genius learns from the mistakes of others. So there are systems and models out there that are proven to work. So how can this be done? And are there different, better ways to do it? Those are strategic options. So now you find models to follow. So you attend training that teaches you how to get where you want to go. Identify other people who have done it. Success leaves clues. If they've already done it, walk in that path. Install systems. Time block, that's a system. Create checklists. And then you want to test those systems to make sure they work. And number 5, bring in accountability. So you want to keep track with your 401 if you use it, which I suggest that you do, because that's your accountability. You can go back and look, did I hit that goal that I set for myself this week? You measure what you do and have an accountability partner. And make sure that accountability partner is not yourself, because we've already discussed that you'll let yourself down. You'll cancel appointments with yourself. You'll make excuses. We all do it. So have an accountability partner, whether it's a coach, whether it's someone else that can hold you accountable, that's in the office, that can say, hey, did you get your goal? So step 4, we want to make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan. So Shoshana said, I need to find coaching or someone that can train me. I need to learn and research. So make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan. What was Keller Williams called before we were the technology company that also sells real estate? Anybody remember?
The training company.
Training company. Why was that important? How did that build our brand in Keller Williams? What were we the best at?
Training agents.
Teaching people how to do the business. And they're still very, very good. I'd still say the best, you know? So Keller Williams was great at teaching agents. So the difference between being learning-based and being ignorance-based is there's knowing for knowing's sake and knowing for doing's sake. Who can tell me the difference?
something you know, you just have the knowledge in your bank back there.
Mhm.
But when you're knowing for doing sake, you're actually applying that knowledge.
Right. Applying the knowledge. That's the difference, is you're actually using what you know to further you towards your goal. So unconscious incompetence, that's the first step. We don't know what we don't know. I know there are people in here that are new to real estate or haven't even started real estate. You don't know what you don't know. Simple as that. So you get knowledge. You start to know things, trainings. Then you go for conscious incompetence. And there's blanks between them, so you might want to write that knowledge down in between. Conscious incompetence. We now know what we don't know. So think of it as like driving. Everyone here drives a car, right? All right. So before you took your driver test, you didn't know what driving was about until you actually got in the car, and and before you ever got in the car, you didn't really know. Once you did know, and say you took your driver's test, you passed it, but now you know what you don't know, because you can't parallel park. You can drive on the roads, but parallel parking's hard. So conscious incompetence. So you get wisdom. And the wisdom brings you to conscious competence. Now we know. And what does wisdom come from? It comes from the practice. It comes from the activity. You practice parallel parking. You do it over and over. Now you know. Yay, you can parallel park. You can do all the driving things. Then you form a habit. You keep doing it. And then what happens once it's a habit? Now it's unconscious competence. Now you do it without thinking. Now you're singing songs and just backing up, not even looking, just, I got this. I know, set my first wheel up, set my second wheel up for the turn, I'm good, So that's where we want to be. Now we just do it without thinking about it. And that's the habit. And that's what you're going for. You're forming the habit on achieving your goals. Because if you do it enough, if you do those things that are going to get you to that goal, form that habit, and you reach your goal. So plan your learning path. Now you had a goal. I want you to share with your neighbor. So I want you to be consciously incompetent. What don't you know about what it is that's going to get you to that goal, or doing what it is that is the activity of your goal? So think about those things. What don't you know? And then create a path to commit to learning. So what leverage do you have? What other things are out there that can get you past that consciously incompetent? There's MAPS coaching. There's Ignite coming up. What's that, August?
August, first 2 weeks, August.
August. I took Ignite several times. So I took it several times as it came around. And the thing is it's like that saying, no person crosses the same river twice. It's a different river, it's a different person. I've taken Bold 9 times, and you think that I would know what I'm doing and know the material. And at the same time, every time I'm in a different place in my business. And something that went way over my head before lands. So take the classes. There are books that KW has. Shift, The One Thing, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Millionaire Investor. All these things are great resources for you to learn and get to a point where now you're doing the business, you're in the habit, and you're achieving your goals. So step 5.
It's not.
Step 5 is not in the book? Interesting. All right. That's on me. Sorry. I thought I sent everything over. I did not. The Market Center did a great job getting everything together, so let's, thank them.
Thank you.
Yay. So, removing your limiting beliefs. Step 5. So, we know that everyone tells themselves something in their head. So we all talk to ourselves. Think about the worst thing you've said to yourself in your head in the last, we can even go just today. Think about something you said to yourself that was just, negative. Think about a problem you had or something you felt you messed up on and how you responded to yourself. So think about what you said, how you responded to yourself in your head. Now I want you to take a minute and go back to that person that you love most in the world and think about someone saying that to them. How does that change how you feel about what was said? Someone just said that thing that you said to yourself to the person you love most in the world. How does that make you feel? Anybody? So we talk to ourselves in a way that we would not allow anyone to talk to someone we loved in that same way. We're all guilty of it. We all have that ego. We all have that inside of us. So the question is, how do you remove that? If it's just there, if it's so ubiquitous that we all have it, how do we change that? So think about the excuses that we make. I don't have enough time for training. I can't be successful in this market. Especially in a shifting market. I've heard that several times. The buyers just aren't there, or they're not getting deals through, or I can't find sellers. I can't devote 3 hours each day to lead generation. So we keep telling ourselves, I can't. So how do we change that? So we just refocus. So number 1, if I put the time in for training now, I'll reap long-term benefits. A shifted market is the very best opportunity for gaining market share. And that's the truth. So in a shifted market, in that downturn, there's a saying that the number of agents in any city is directly proportional to how well that real estate is doing in that city. So when it's down, number of agents is going to drop. People are going to go back to whatever other jobs they had or find new jobs because they're not making money in real estate. So what do? You survive. You keep grinding, you keep putting deals on the table, you survive. And what happens? Because every market comes back. So what happens then? Now you're gaining market share because now there's not enough agents for the deals that are happening. You made it through. So now you thrive. So a shifted market is the very best opportunity for gaining market share. How's that different from number 2? Anybody?
Gives you an incentive to keep plugging away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Number 3. So I can't afford to devote 3 hours each day to lead generation. What can't you really afford?
Not doing it. Yeah.
Right. You can't afford to not do it. That's where your money comes from. So when you talk about being able to afford something, you can't afford to miss it. You have 2 things in you. One's telling you you can't, one's telling you you can. Which one do you follow? Because you can choose. And like they say, you can't control the first thought that comes into your mind, but you can control every thought after it. You know, I stub my toe, I'm not thinking, yay, you know, but after the initial, you know, then I go into, okay, all right, you know. So you can control everything after that and how you respond to it. So we're going to finish out with number 6, and that is being accountable. Who can tell me what that means? We kind of brushed on it a couple times. What does being accountable mean? Okay. How about you, Jade? What does being accountable mean to you? I'm sorry?
For me, I have to do it.
You have to do it. So that's being accountable. What does being accountable mean to you?
What I don't, what I'm not is accountable.
Well, are you giving yourself an affirmation there?
I know, limiting belief. I know.
So accountability is an attitude and an approach to your entire life. That means being 100% responsible for everything in your life. Everything in my life is a result of my choices and actions. I own my life. So when I say that to myself, everything in my life is a result of my choices and my actions. I own my life. Let's all say it.
Everything in my life is a result of my choices and actions. I own my life.
So you own your life. What's different than walking through life on the wind and owning your life? If you take accountability, you take away everyone else's power. Knowing no one or no thing has power over you when you own your life, when you take responsibility for it. Everyone has moments of victim mentality, but change only happens when we make a conscious decision to stop being a victim and start being accountable. Can't change if you're going to stay in that victim mode. Nothing in your life changes. You stay where you are. So this is being a victim versus being accountable. You guys do have that one, right? So, and just like that, you know, just like the missing handout, my fault. You know, I'm accountable to that not being done. I sent it, I should have checked it. So a victim doesn't seek reality. That's where we started today, is reality. We all look at where we are and look at it in real perspective, because that's what being accountable is. Being a victim fights reality versus being accountable where you acknowledge reality. Victims blame. I could have said, oh, I sent that. You know, they just didn't do it. Or you own it. Personal excuses or finding solutions. You wait and hope as a victim because you're putting the responsibility on someone else. You're saying someone or something is going to make this happen for me. But being accountable means you get on with it. You do it for yourself. You do it and you take responsibility for it. So now we're going to plan your path. So I think right now we're on page 12. All right. So in the handout, so think of an issue or problem you're struggling with right now. So what's the issue? Write it down. Write it on your paper. What's the issue? Something you're struggling with right now. So how does awareness of the issue lead to its resolution? And remember, seek reality. How does the awareness of that issue bring you to its resolution? So once you acknowledge reality, how does having clarity about the issue lead you to the resolution? So you'll own it and be empowered. So now you find solutions. And remember when we started this exercise, the exercise today, we started with strengths and weaknesses to create plans. So what are the obstacles? What are your strengths to overcome those obstacles? What are your weaknesses around those obstacles? Because now you have a complete picture of that issue and how you can deal with it. So write down some action steps. What are you going to do? How are you going to get past it? This is where we wrap it up, where we put it all together. You have an issue. How do you get past that issue using what you've learned today? Seeking reality, looking at your strengths, looking at your weaknesses, and setting a plan to get over that issue. I'm going to give you a few minutes on this. So the last part of being accountable is who are the people in your circles. So we have the next page on 13. You've got 4 little bubbles there. It's you, and then 4 little bubbles. Now, not everyone needs someone in every category, but who are the people that hold you accountable in those bubbles? And if you don't have someone, when will you add them by? Who's your accountability partner? You know, is your spouse your financial accountability partner or your financial planner? You know, who is your accountability partner there? You know, your physical accountability is your coach, your trainer, your kids, you know. Who will hold you to your goals in those areas? Because if you don't have one, are you just winging it? All right. Now you don't have to have all those written today. Again, there's an add by. So the thing I would want is if you don't have someone, write a date in there that you're gonna find someone by. Set a goal. This is your accountability session for consulting. So when I was on a team, this was how we did it. What was your goal? How did you do? How do you feel about that? Based on how you did, what is your goal and what do you need to do now? I once had I got really behind in my lead generation. I was supposed to have so many every week. And there was just like it said, if you're a race, you must replace. My goal didn't change. So my coach told me I was 93 leads behind. My coach told me, she said, I'm going to go on a vacation for 2 weeks. When I come back, you not only have to have all the leads that you were supposed to get during those 2 weeks, you're also going to make up every one of those 93. And for every one that you don't have, you owe me $50. Is that being held accountable?
Yeah.
So what was your goal? How did you do? And just so you know, I hit it. I did it. I didn't pay her anything. I'm notoriously cheap in that way. I don't like losing money, is how I saw it. It's losing money. I don't like that. So based on what you did, what's your goal and what do you need to do now? So what I needed to do then was change my activity, put more time towards it, time block it, make sure I wasn't being distracted. So the help part is if you're the coach coaching someone, is there anything that might keep you from doing that? Ask the question. If you need training or support to do this, what might it be? Is there anything that can help you do that? So when you're coaching, say you have agents or anything else, or yourself, these are the questions you ask. You know, what's my obstacle? What leverage or support can I have to help me reach my goal? And just ask yourself that every week, whether that's on Friday or Saturday or Sunday. You've got your 401, you've got your goal. You set a goal for the week, or even at the end of the day, if you set that goal for your day. What was your goal? How did you do? How do you feel about that? And based on how you did, what's your goal and what do you need to do now? All right. So on the first page, on that original page where we had this, there are some affirmations that go along with this. So you got lines next to it. Next to self-mastery, I am going to master this. This is your affirmation. I am going to master self-mastery. 80-20. I am going to focus on my big rocks. And who here knows what that refers to, big rocks? There was a professor that brought in that glass jar. Has everybody seen this, where it puts in the big rock, says, is it full? And then adds, gravel, and then says, is it full? It's still not full. Then adds sand. Is it full? Then adds water. So at the end, yes, it's full. But when you do it the opposite direction, you put the water in first. What happens when you put in the sand? Everything overflows. So by doing your big rocks, you take the space of the most important things, those are your big rocks, and you put those in first. And then you fill everything in around them. Move from E to P. I am purposeful about breaking through my ceiling of achievement. So who here remembers what that meant? What do you need to break through that ceiling of achievement?
Training, leverage.
Leverage, coaching, learning, heard those? So those are all things you need to move from E to P. Make being learning based. I'm willing to be taught. I always pursue learning. Removing limiting beliefs. I unlimit my thinking and my success. And being accountable. It's mine. I own it. Your life is yours. No one else can live it for you. No one else can hit your goals. It's all yours. Everyone got those? All right. Ahas, agents helping agents. Who here learned something? So the thing that you had as an aha in this room, other people may be close to that. So let's hear some things that people got out of this. Who got something out of today? Hey, Shoshana, what did you get?
Oh, I'm picking one.
Okay.
I think it was interesting that all three of us in different, at our table, in different formats, have the same type of obstacles as far as categories go.
Mhm.
Maybe they were framed differently, but as categories, and so that was super interesting about, really all of us in one way or another thought mindset was a huge obstacle, for instance, and we might have framed that differently, but
How many people in the room have that same kind of thing at their tables? Where obstacles seem very similar? I know I talked to Mike in the back, he said they were having that same thing. So who else got something from that? That's great. That's good insight. That everyone's going through things. Yes.
When you said you teach people how to treat you, kind of an aha for me, because I realize it's not about the person, it's about my action and how I respond to that, like made them treat me that way. So it's more about like working on how I'm acting to reflect how they're gonna treat me.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Everything in my life is a result of my choices. I've heard it many times, but it really kind of sunk into it.
Right. And weren't we just talking about that? The river, you're in a different
Yeah.
place and it meant something to you different this time.
Right.
So that's what that training, going through these trainings is about, signing up for the things that KW offers. Because things will, even though you may have done it once before, it may hit you different and create change that you need to move forward. Who else? Anyone else have something they want to share? Yes.
Well, I like what Mike said about, having the mindset of coming in each day and not waiting until you set an appointment.
Mhm.
And then you really built on that, which was, have a goal for each day and stick to it.
Who here is going to set a goal for every day? Okay. Who here is going to do it, actually do it next week? Again, knowing for knowing's sake and knowing for doing's sake are two different things. So knowing it is one thing, but actually doing it. Yeah.
It was about the ceiling. I think, well, there's been a lot today and since our conversation, but I was just saying to you, like I've been at the same level those past few years, I feel like. And so just either learning more, or I don't know if it's just a matter of new accountability partners or what, but just breaking through. It's like, what's the next level? So what else can I learn?
Right.
Or finding a new creative, what'd you say? It was a new way to do something, like, I forget what you said. I wrote it down here, but it was like. He's like,
I say a lot of things.
I forget, you said something about like, there's a new, is there a new strategy?
Oh, yeah.
Find strategic options. Are there other better or easier ways to do it?
Yeah. Are there other better, easier ways to do this? So, any questions? Anybody have anything that they felt like I kind of breezed over and want to learn more about it? I think I'm good on that.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I think Mike wants to-
Thank you, sir. Guys, at the last page in your packets is a QR code for a survey. So thank you for keeping your phones down, your heads up for the entire class. And now's a chance to take them out, grab that. It's your opportunity. Eddie had requested that there be a survey portion so that he can receive some feedback.
Being accountable.
Being accountable, which we love. And then if you enjoyed hearing from Eddie today, he will be a part of our summer masterminds. You've received emails about this. You've heard me talk about this as a part of our sales meetings, but Eddie is going to be on one of our panels. Going to be talking about lessons learned, right? The man that stands before you today, believe it or not, has made some missteps. True or
Yes.
false?
I've been sued 2 or 3 times and run before board probably 3 times. Never found guilty or fined or anything like that. I've always had my documents in a row and I've been cleared on all charges.
But the opportunity to, as he said, smart people learn from their mistakes, geniuses learn from other people. So excited about that. So please, there is a QR code on the wall over here and all throughout the office to get your tickets. We will be pushing those out to the greater agent population throughout Northeast Ohio. We will sell out. If you want to be there, get your ticket now. And thank you all for being here today. And one more time, a big thank you for
Thank you.